Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Omar Khalid. But today is Monday, the 23rd of September 2024, and these are the stories that we will be highlighting in the course of the show. We'll begin with the terrorism in Pakistan raising its ugly head again. On Sunday, there was an incident in Swat where one constable lost his life, where others also got injured. But of course, this was a convoy of diplomats that was coming back from Swat to Islamabad, and fortunately, all the diplomats remain unhurt. But the fact remains that such incidents have been happening in different parts of Pakistan, particularly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan. We'll be highlighting different aspects of this rise in terror, the elements and the statistics behind it. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Gaza situation, day 352. At the same time, there is a huge escalation of tension within the Middle East as well, with Lebanon through the conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. That we'll be also highlighting during the course of the second segment. Then we'll be talking about world leaders who have adopted a landmark declaration pledging concrete actions towards a safer, peaceful, sustainable and inclusive world for tomorrow's generations. Finally, we'll be talking about the International Sign Language Day that is being observed across the world today. Let's begin with today's show, and let's begin with our first segment that concerns terrorism and the surge of terrorism in Pakistan. We've been joined by two guests to discuss that important topic, and in the studios we've been joined by Abdullah Khan Sahab. He is the managing director of PICSS that provides us with the relevant data regarding such casualties. Thank you very much, Khan Sahab, to have joined us. Online we've been joined by Brigadier Rashid Wali Janjua, retired, who's a defense analyst. Brigadier Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us as well. Let's begin with you, Abdullah Khan Sahab. Abdullah Khan Sahab, I'll begin with the statistics because your organization does exactly that. As per your organization's statistics, August was the deadliest month as far as heinous incidents is concerned across Pakistan, with of course a large chunk coming from Balochistan, but of course then it is also dissipated across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as well. You talk about 175 lives lost, 92 civilians, 47 security personnel, 36 militants and 123 injured, but a total of 254 people killed during the month of August. What do you attribute this increase in? And we see, as we were talking before the show, that there seems to be a tilt between Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan as far as the casualties is concerned. Would you kindly explain?
Thank you very much. If we look at the terror trends over the period of time, this was started to surge in 2020 because after Operation Zarb-e-Azb, let me give you a little overview. After Zarb-e-Azb, terrorists were effectively defeated, and they were forced to leave that North Waziristan, which was the epicenter of terrorism, and then the Khyber Agency. Average militant attacks per month before 2015 was 134 in 2014, and then it gradually started to decline. In 2019 it was just 13 attacks, and it was the level of 2004. We were expecting that we will, with the passage of time, we will eradicate terrorism. But in 2020, when TTP and different groups merged, and on the Balochistan front there were forces who united different factions. So two alliances, one NKP and FATA, former FATA, you can say overall KP, and the other was in Balochistan. So the alliances of militants, and then subsequent takeover of Taliban in Afghanistan in August 21, and that was a further booster to the militant activities. So after that, we have seen that gradually every year there was a surge. This year, the average militant attacks per month is 80 militant attacks, which is almost more than 2015. So all the gains are gradually slipping away from our hands. The most important thing is that the weapons left by the Western forces in Afghanistan, modern military gadgets, are now in the hands of the militants in Balochistan as well as in KP. And the Afghan government is not controlling their activities, not controlling the spillover of weapons into the Pakistani market, black market, as well as the militants are buying weapons from Afghan market, and they are killing our people. The smuggling of weapons and other illegal trade. So, all these are combining, the combination of all these things are making the situation worse for Pakistan. So, one thing. The other thing is, as you started, is the SWAT attack. Let me say that it has a geopolitical significance. We are going to hold a SCO summit next month. So, there are forces who do not want Pakistan to be seen as a peaceful country. So, specifically targeting diplomats, although it was a failed attack because no diplomat was hurt. But if you look at the Indian media, how they portrayed it, how they reported it, I was astonished. What was the headline? It was the Russian envoys convoy hit by IED. This was the headline, was the India's most popular newspaper, and that was Times of India. So, they did not say that it was a police van was hit. They said that Russian ambassador's convoy was hit. So, they wanted to give this message to the world, that the misinformation. But unfortunately, their local handlers were perhaps not capable to inflict the required losses, though they wanted to. This geopolitical significance is very important. We should not overlook it. As the event is coming closer, we are seeing more and more high profile attacks in Balochistan as well as in other parts, and the militants are pushing. These militants are basically proxies. They don't work at
Of course, and we know whose proxies they are. Brigadier Rashid, thank you very much to have joined us. Brigadier Rashid, do you agree with Abdullah Khan as far as the aims behind such heinous incidents are concerned, targeting convoys or targeting, convoys of such diplomats, and then highlighting it as if the diplomats were attacked, and the importance, the timing of all of this also in the context of the SCO meeting that is going to happen next month?
You see, we are into this counter-terrorism wave for over 2 years now, and most of these things are very well known. Who is doing it, why they are doing it, what is the motivation. Obviously, once there is a problem and your adversary seeks to exploit that problem, they would always go for the timing. So we must be very clear that Indian RAW has no compunction in targeting even the diplomatic corps of countries. Many of those are close allies of India as well. So this is a theme worth propagating, and the world must sit up and take notice that here is a convoy of diplomats which was on a tour invited by Chamber of Commerce, and that was hit by an IED, which was the handiwork of RAW, because these are all proxies operating from Afghanistan. The TTP militancy has a direct link with the RAW's orchestrating of the whole thing. So that's my take on that. And the analysis part, what needs to be done, actually we should be more concerned with that. Problem of terrorism in merged districts and in Balochistan. So this has achieved a kind of a crescendo, especially in this month of August, as the statistics show. And I think I lay my hand on 5 points. One is the capacity deficit. I think this is the most important thing. We must ramp up the capacity of our counter-terrorism apparatus. We must resource them well. We must hold them accountable. And the world over, the police is front and center. The CTD apparatus of police needs to be given the lead role. And if there are standard operating procedures which have not worked, the Premier Intelligence Agency, CT, and the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa CTD, they must sit down and evolve new SOPs in which police could be given an important role. And we must have our best human resource, and we must have locals on our side, and we can give some role to them, because this kind of environment, the local tribes, local maliks, and local influentials, they can be very, very influential in countering. Already there are rumblings of discontent in Swat, and people are protesting. as to why there is a surge of this militancy in a region like Swat. And if the locals' help is sought, I think that could be an important counter-terrorism tool. Then is our border management, refugee control. I think we need to do a better job of stopping the illegal spectrum. And some out-of-box solutions are to be, now approved at the national level, and the provincial government has to give priority to this aspect, because if because of our own problems, corruption, lax border controls, this illegal spectrum is not ending. Perhaps we can start with some out-of-box solutions, like using some special vehicle to collect the revenues, bringing down the tariffs, regularizing this trade, and ensuring that no illegal trade takes place and there is a negative incentive for crime and at the same time corruption. So this is the pearl of high price that we need to chase now. Then the trade, I think stopping trade cannot be used as a leverage against Afghanistan, because they have so many other channels through illegal means. So somehow this trade has to be regularized through a reduction of tariffs and better border management practices, so as to ensure that the maximum revenue comes to the coffers of the government and the incentives for criminals that ceases. So those are the measures we need to do, and our counter-terrorism operations against the basis of these insurgents, that also needs to be paid attention to. We have seen this pager action in Gaza by reportedly Israeli intelligence agency against the Hezbollah. So these sting operations are done throughout the world by intelligence agencies.
I understand. I get your point, Brigadier Saab. Kindly stay online with us. We also have Abdullah Khan Saab with us. Abdullah Khan, Brigadier Saab points towards capacity deficit. He talks about illegal spectrum. He talks about corruption and counterterrorism operations and out-of-the-box solutions. What are the most effective measures as far as dealing with such a wave of terrorism?
We need to have a whole of a nation approach. I do agree with him that capacity is an issue, because as far as Swat incident is concerned, the initial reports suggest that the route was cleared by BDS. If BDS has done the clearing, then how was it possible that an IED blasted? And why the jammers were not available, and there are many questions. Who leaked the information from within the security forces, because it was prior communication was done to the KP police, and it was not that out of the blue this convoy was going. So a lot of questions are there, and as he said, that accountability is also important. Apart from capacity building, I think if we recall this, he slightly hinted towards that as well, that a whole of a nation approach is that we cannot fight this just with the kinetic forces.
Non-kinetic and kinetic combination is very important.
2008-9, if recall, then Swat was under the control of TTP and most part of Malakand, and then there was a national consensus. The whole political parties, all parties were together, and they gave a go ahead to the military. And 2014, we all were together for Operation Zarbeaz, and for National Action Plan after APS, whole nation was together. But this time there is a division. We have to fill that gap. We have to bridge that gap. Currently, when Azme Istehkam was announced, people started to politicize it. It was not a new operation, it was a vision, but how it was politicized. So there is
it is an extension of the National Action Plan.
National Action Plan, but how that was politicized. So until and unless we bring political stability in the country and all the political forces are together and fighting this terrorism, the point scoring from each party will continue. blame game will continue and people will keep suffering. So, I think we need to be united against terrorism. That is
right.
that should be our approach.
All right. Brigadier Rashid Saab, united approach is what is the need of the hour and a combination of kinetic and non-kinetic operations. What are the options that lie ahead for Pakistan to deal with such nefarious incidents?
You see, we should start with our apex level, that is a political level. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there is a government which perhaps needs to do a better job of concentrating all its efforts on counter-terrorism, because that's something that is impacting the economy, that is something that is impacting the tourism, the reputation of KP as a destabilized province. They need to pay attention to the governance vacuum, which is a complete vacuum in the merged districts. There is no writ of civil administration. The police is virtually effete. There is perfunctory treatment being given to the courts. The courts have not established themselves fully, and people who are used to Rivaj system and there are clamorings of bringing back the quick dispensing justice system of Sharia. So people are now losing faith in the government institutions. And it is the responsibility of the provincial government, especially after 18th Amendment, that at least civil administration, policing, judiciary, these are the markers of the writ of the government. As far as the security forces are concerned, they have to ensure that the night belongs to them, the roads belong to them, and there are clear markers of how many intelligence-based operations have succeeded in causing maximum damage, and how much area is completely sanitized of the presence of these elements. So these are the markers that we need to establish. And if the political government doesn't see eye to eye with the federal government and does not do its job properly, this governance vacuum,
a lot of
the
onus
security
also comes on the KP
vacuum,
government. If you're talking governance, then I think the whole onus comes on the KP government, because Swat is under the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government. So of course, a lot of people are pointing fingers towards the provincial government as well for not handling this issue properly and not doing the needful, and that results in issues such as these. Thank you very much, Brigadier Rashid Wali Janjua Saab, to have joined us. Coming back to you, Abdullah Khan. We did talk a little bit about the options that Pakistan has with the Brigadier Saab, but what options does Pakistan have vis-a-vis Afghanistan? Because it is through the Afghan soil that militants such as the TTP, militants such as the ISIK and many other factions of them that have become operative in Pakistan are coming in. And when we ask Afghanistan, this is what they say: this is an internal problem of Pakistan and this is not our problem. Isn't this an Afghan problem at the end of the day, and shouldn't they be dealing with it?
Basically, it is a collective problem, not just for Pakistan. It is a regional and global problem, as our ambassador to UN, Munir Akram, has highlighted in UN General Assembly that TTP is a global threat, and TTP's links with Al Qaeda are well documented, well established, although TTP denied it, but the matter of fact is that they are the same. So it is a global issue, not just Pakistan or Afghanistan issue, but the primary responsibility lies with the Afghan government. This was their commitment in Doha conference, Doha agreement, that they will not allow Afghan soil to be used
this
against.
Was the commitment in the first address of the interim foreign minister in Afghanistan as well, who said that they will never let the Afghan soil be used against any neighborhood country. And this is exactly what is happening since then.
But Zabiullah Mujahid, once he misconstrued, he said that Doha agreement does not cover Pakistan, but he must know that Pakistan is non-NATO US ally. Even the Doha agreement covers us. You cannot allow Afghan soil to be used against Pakistan because Pakistan is US ally in war on terror. So this commitment, this global commitment, actually what they are consistently disappointing the world community, not just Pakistan. UN Security Council every 6 months issues a report, and every report says that from previous report, more activities are highlighted of international and global militant groups and regional militant groups. So Afghanistan is once again becoming a hub of those groups who are a threat to regional peace and global peace. So, eventually where will the world stay? And Taliban are actually playing with their own future, not just Pakistan. I often say that Pakistan can absorb these shocks. We have a history, but you don't have. You will collapse. So, it is better for them, and I think a little realization is there, because recently there were some reports in Afghanistan that they have established some colonies for TTP militants and their families in Ghazni province. So, maybe there are some realization. The problem is there are many power centers inside Afghanistan, some who see this as a problem, the others say this as an opportunity to coerce Pakistan, to settle score with Pakistan. And within TTP there are factions who are actually trying to just like Jamaat-ul-Ahrar, which is considered to be behind this SWAT attack, they are also creating major problems. They even ask their cadres to fight against Afghan Taliban people if they try to remove them from their area and to shift them. So, there are a lot of things are going on. Perhaps there is a capacity issue also on the Afghan on the part of Afghan government. Perhaps they see it an issue where they see that they may face some retaliation from their local commanders. So, a lot of things, but overall they must realize so much. So far their realization is at not that level where a proper state response.
But Abdullah Khan, can't Pakistan, I'm sure that Pakistan must have talked to Afghanistan time and again about this issue. Why can't they do joint counterterrorism operations? Why can't they do counterterrorism operations with other countries of the region that could also be affected by these militant organizations? Recently also Joe Biden had a conversation with our ambassador in the US while he was giving his letter of credence, and he also talked about the the collaboration in counterterrorism between the US and Pakistan. Why can't both the countries, whether the countries join hands and help Afghanistan deal with this issue? Or maybe Afghanistan does not want to deal with this issue.
Actually, that is the problem, because they don't consider them terrorists. For us, the TTP and Lashkar-e-Islam and Jamaat-ul-Ahrar, BLA, they are terrorists. For Afghan Taliban, they are brothers in arms. They fought together against the Western forces. So, they cannot declare them as terrorists and fight against them or join hands with Pakistan or any other entity. That may have a blowback for them as well within Afghanistan. But that is another thing. They have to show that they are responsible government. They can handle the international relations in a peaceful manner. This is not the way that you let loose these militant groups and targeting another Muslim country. This is also against Islam. While they have taken care of the demands of the China, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, they are not allowed. There are groups in Afghanistan who are just like TTP is
ETIM, for example, for China.
Yes, ETIM, they do not allow ETIM to do anything against China. They don't allow IMU or Imam Bukhari Brigade, or there is Islamic Jihad Union. There are Central Asian groups in Afghanistan, but the Afghan Taliban do not allow them to do anything against these countries. Why it is only Pakistan? This is the question. We are not Muslim, we are not humans, and you don't have responsibility with us.
But Abdullah Khan Sahab, the fact also remains that Pakistan has been helping Afghanistan since the last few decades. A number of Afghan refugees who have remained in Pakistan over the decades is also tantamount to the points towards the Pakistan intention as far as Afghanistan is concerned. But Afghanistan has always tried to deceive Pakistan in one way or the other. Why, in your point of view, is that so?
The same thing which you highlighted is what our Army Chief had highlighted on 14th of August on PMA, his address at the PMA. And he said, the way we help you, you need to help us. That was a very polite way to convey this message. Unfortunately, we always help them, and they always played to the gallery to satisfy the ego of their people. What is the general perception about Taliban and the public. They are just trying to handle that public perception, because initially their opponents, they said, you know, this is the Pakistani proxy, they came into power, and for just, you know, removing that tag, they are actually, what they are doing is sponsoring TTP and other groups, which are the result is the loss of human lives on this side.
I agree with
and
you.
This is not less than a criminal thing.
Unfortunate but true. And in fact, the fact is that despite repeated reminders to Afghanistan from the Pakistani side, nothing has happened from the Afghan side. They could have done if they wanted to, the intention was there, but there's a lack of intention, and there are so many other factors that ally with that, including the actors in the other region who do not want Pakistan to be a stable country. Thank you very much, Abdullah Khan Sahab, MD of PICSS, to have joined us and to have discussed this spate of terrorism that has been continuing since 2021 in Pakistan. Thank you, sir, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, and that concerns the Israel-Palestine, the Israel-Hezbollah conflict, because now we have to add the Israel-Hezbollah conflict since the last few days, how it has all escalated in the last few days, and how the number of casualties are increasing. At least 100 people have been killed, more than 400 wounded in these attacks across Lebanon. Children, women, paramedics are amongst those killed and wounded in these attacks. This has been confirmed by the Lebanese Health Ministry. Concerns over a full-scale war in the Middle East are also growing as Hezbollah has declared a battle of reckoning with Israel. Southern Lebanese citizens have also been receiving phone calls ordering them to move immediately so that the Israeli army could bombard the areas where they are living. The situation is quite grim, whether it be Gaza, whether it be Lebanon. We've been joined by two guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. Shazia, Anwar, Cheema, she's a foreign affairs expert, joins us online. Shazia Sahaba, thank you very much to have joined us. And then there's Dr. Munawar, Hussain, foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, to have joined us as well. I'll begin with you, Shazia. Shazia, we'll begin with, and we'll see how much time we have left for Gaza, but I'd like to concentrate on Lebanon. The UN coordinator in Lebanon says diplomatic efforts need to be given room to succeed as far as this conflict is concerned. The United Kingdom, the European Union have also called on both Israel and Hezbollah to reach immediate ceasefire. Antonio Guterres has also said that Lebanon is being transformed into another Gaza. Egypt's foreign minister also warns of a risk of an all-out regional war between Israel and Lebanon. A United Nations special coordinator for Lebanon also says that the region is on the brink of imminent catastrophe. How do you view the international reactions to this increase in hostilities between Lebanon and Israel, between Hezbollah and Israel, and what do you think all of this is leading to?
These reactions are very offensive as they sound to us. They are very optimistic, but they does not tell us the real picture. They are not showing us the real picture. Western media has still not stopped saying Hezbollah a terrorist organization. So here you are dealing with terrorists, so-called. So and at the same time you want de-escalation by the Israel, whose total agenda is to escalate this issue to the level where either Hezbollah overreact or a greater, broader war can be started with the help of America or the Western powers. So I don't pay heed to these statements as such, because on the ground there is nothing happening which can lead to any kind of settlement, because Israel, Netanyahu, does not want a settlement. He needs to escalate this war in order to either deter Hezbollah, and on the other hand, Hezbollah is a battle-hardened political force, and which is in one way or other retaliating as much as they can, and the result is in front of us. We have 400 civilians affected by these so-called pager attacks and these gadget devices. So I don't see much hope in these statements, if my personal opinion is concerned. But hope is always in the aggrieved party. So and they are the only adult in the room, and they are behaving how the way an adult should be. Otherwise, this broader, greater war would have been started like long, long ago.
All right, Dr. Saab, the fact is that the way these hostilities are increasing between Israel and Hezbollah, a lot of fingers are pointing towards a new phase of the battle. This has also been said by the Israeli side, by the Israeli war cabinet, time and again, not the first time that they have said that. But when you look at the hostilities, when you look at the number of attacks that are happening from the Israeli side into Lebanon, and of course the counter strikes as well from the Lebanese side, what is your opinion as far as this whole conflict entering into a new phase?
Barsa, very much for having me in your show. Frankly speaking, many times in your program, I predicted that Israel wants escalation, as Shazia already mentioned. And why Israel wants escalation? Because this is their old strategy. Always through escalation, they win the war. Number one. Number two, since Netanyahu is in a political turmoil, because of a strong opposition, because of the protest, because of the bad performance of its government, and because they don't have a political road map. Once shooting is stopped, what is the political road map? And this is what the Israeli commanders, they are demanding. So only one option remains in the hand of Israel and Netanyahu, that is to escalate the war and let Americans to enter into the war, so that American can stop or defeat the proxies of Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, Hashad-e-Shaibi, Ansarullah, and even Hezbollah. But this is not the first fight between Hezbollah and Israel. We remember in 2006, this is the same army, Israeli army, that got defeat. And I remember that in your program, I predicted once this war would be settled, the dust would be settled, Israel would emerge a weak, fragmented state, because Israel is in a real trouble because of its internal body politics and because of its international image. The argument that they used to give in international fora, that they were prosecuted in the past, the same method that they are adopting against the Palestinians. So they are losing on all grounds. Even the explosions that they use in pagers, in walkie-talkie, it is predicted that
laptops as well on the second day.
Okay. Sorry.
They were these explosions also happened on the second day in laptops.
Yes, exactly. So what is the result of that explosion? The result is that Americans, they are in real trouble because their iPhone, the products of the laptops and walkie-talkies, they are in danger because the many experts, they are predicting almost $1 trillion per year they would lose. And the nations, especially the nations of the global south, they have a more trust on Chinese products rather than the product of the West. So what strategy that they are adopting is getting the failure. Only option is that they must agree on two-state solution, and the resolution which is presented by the General Assembly of the United Nations, which is non-binding nature, and the resolution which is presented by the Security Council, that must be implemented. Otherwise, the region is in a turmoil, and once this region is in turmoil, it means economy of the world would be in turmoil because energy resources are in this region.
All right. Shazia, is the economy of the world or of this region in turmoil because of the conflict with Gaza, because of the conflict with Hezbollah? And of course, we all know that this conflict between Hezbollah and Israel was low-key since the 8th of October because they said that they want Israel to stop their atrocities towards Palestine, but they did not. They said they will continue to do so till such time that Israel stops its brutalities towards the Palestinians. And that continues, and that is why Hezbollah continues its conflict. But now, since the killing of Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut, this has taken a whole new turn. And now, when we look at the whole strategy of these thousands of pagers and walkie-talkies and laptops that exploded during 2 days, and then the increase in escalation through the attacks in Lebanon. What do you predict is going to happen in the coming days?
To predict what is going to happen, we have to analyze first what is happening right now. These pager and these electronic devices attacks, the Israeli for planning this attack, like according to the reports, more than 9 months, 8 months, they are planning this for Hezbollah. And but Hezbollah got this idea that there is something going on, because Hezbollah has a very very strong intelligence agency, and they didn't know that what actually going to happen, but they got the idea there is something going to happen. So it also explains the capability of Israel, who is targeting Hezbollah and Hezbollah's commanders with the technical devices, and not knowing that military grade surveillance and military grade communication is always based on the optical cable, and since 2000 Hezbollah communication is on the optical cables, and Hezbollah is even trained, they have extensive training even having without communication. Even if their control and command center is being bombarded, they do exercises with their soldiers how to carry on the war. So this attack was just for civilians, and for the Western audience especially. Hezbollah is a political organization, and Hezbollah is based on 6 wings, and excluding 5 other wings are civilian wings. For example, they have their Imdad organization, they have this Jihadul Bina organization, and Martyrs and Veterans Foundation, they have this information and media press. All the victims are basically from these organizations, and these are civilian institutions. They are using these pagers, and they are using these mobile devices and these laptops, these first aid workers, these policemen, doctors communicating on pagers, first aid, the ambulance services, the media personnel. The combat wing is not using these pagers and mobiles and all that. So in my opinion, the moment Israeli got this idea that Hezbollah knew something is going to happen, they arbitrarily just explode these gadgets, and without any purpose, without any tactical purpose. And after that, they start doing this symmetrical war, this symmetrical attack on Beirut, resulting the assassination of Ibrahim Aqil. Again, forgetting the idea that Hezbollah is an organization that every senior Hezbollah person groom a junior person, and Hezbollah and Hamas and all these organizations of axis of resistance are based on idea, and killing and assassinating individuals and personnel does not give any tactical damage to Hezbollah. So basically now we have to just see that how Iran can be evoked, how Iran can be provoked to a greater war, because Israel cannot survive. Very nicely, very politically and diplomatically, Dr. Munawar has said that Israel will be survived in a fragmented way. Even people in the West are saying that with this pace and with these strategies, Israel is not going to survive. There is no survival for Israel. So there is only going to be one state, and that state is going to be the Palestine, and having hundreds and millions of Palestinians' blood in the foundation of that. So if Israel wants to escalate a war against Hezbollah by some way, by killing Fawaz Shukr, as you mentioned, by killing Hanea, by killing Ibrahim Aqil, they cannot force axis of resistance to react and start a greater, broader nuclear war, and give the Western audience and the Western warmongers a justification that this extended conflict is just because it is being provoked by so and so. So they will attack, they will fight back, they will retaliate with their own pace, with their own strategy, with their own time.
All right. Thank you very much, Shazia and Cheema, to have joined us. Last question to you, Dr. Munawar. The United Nations General Assembly session is going to be held. Many countries are going to talk about the situation in Lebanon and in Gaza as well. Will it have any effect? Because when we see in the past, despite the resolutions, nothing concrete has happened. Any expectations?
Frankly speaking, United Nations has its own significance because it is an idea of the liberal world order, which has assumption that if you have a good institution, through institution you can maintain peace in the world by creating a good environment. If you are ignoring United Nations, its resolution, it means you are denying the liberal world order, one. Number second, the United Nations is based on, especially the General Assembly is based on the principle of democracy. Majority vote decides about the resolution. And if you are denying those resolution, it means you are denying the very principle of democracy, which India is doing, which Israel is doing, which some of the Western countries they are doing, because out of 188, 14 countries they oppose the recent resolution in the United Nations General Assembly. So United Nations has its own significance. Number
Thank
three.
you very much, Dr. Munawar. Thank you very much, Shazia and Cheema, to the both of you to have joined us and to have discussed this rising tensions in the Middle East and where all of it is leading to. Thank you very much to both my eminent guests. Let's end this show with two stories very quickly. The world leaders have attempted and adopted a landmark declaration to pledge concrete actions toward a safer, more peaceful, sustainable and inclusive world for tomorrow's generation. They have adopted what they call the Pact of the Future, which they say is a landmark declaration in that very regard. This was adopted by consensus in New York. There are 5 broader areas that include sustainable development, international peace, security, science and technology, youth and future generations, and transforming global governance. Finally, today is the International Sign Language Day. This day is, of course, an opportunity not only to support, to protect the linguistic identity and the cultural diversity of all those people who are who cannot hear properly, and other sign language users as well. The theme is Sign Up for Sign Language Rights, and we are very proud at Pakistan Television that not only at PTV News but also at PTV World now we have a bulletin dedicated to those with such disabilities, and we are catering to them. I think today is a remembrance for all of those who are with such disabilities, or born with it, or attain that later in life, that they always will have the support of others to move forward in their lives in a more respectable and in a more pragmatic manner. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we end our show. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new story segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.